Alright, welcome back. 10-second cartooning. As you can tell, there's a lot to this book. I could go on and on in detail. Even just the introduction. That's just some sketches I did there a long time ago. As you can see, there's a lot. Proportions and measurements, the figure. The first two are just kind of like art history. Part 3, the figure and art historically developed. Part 4, proportions and measurements, that's some of the best stuff I'm going over. That's when we talked about this bad boy, which you guys seem to like. It's always good practice to go over the proportions. Always, even for me. I mean, that's part of the reason I do this channel, is practice for myself. We got details of anatomy, which is what we're deep into right now. Let me move this here. Now, just to finish up on the head, and we'll come back to it later. Notice his style. He's got kind of a machine, sharp edged style. I think he sees human beings as machine parts, kind of like assembling in a car. He's very draftsman-like in his approach here, but it works, and I'll tell you why it works, because you can clearly define the parts of the human body from underneath the skin and break it down into shapes, and that's probably part of the reason why he draws it this way. The neck, muscles, and the shadow, you can tell this is the side, the light's hitting this side and causing the shadow on here to create some depth here. We'll just read this real quick, skim it, and then I'm going to draw like a quick example of that, and then we'll go into the eye a little bit. I'll just zoom in on this. And let us consider a third problem in rotation. The side plane of the head, the forearm edge moving from the temporal arc down to the corner of the brow and the cheek bone to the side of the chin. Observe how this edge tends to divide front and side of the face along a line drawn. I'll read that again. Observe how this edge tends to divide front and side of the face along the line drawn almost exactly in half between the lengthwise center line, of the face, and the jawline. Okay. It will do this in whatever turn position the head has been drawn, because of the constant curves across the frontal mass of the face. So I'll read that again. Because the constant curves across the frontal mass of the face. So the curves, I think he's referring to this, all these curves here, and that's kind of like what I was kind of explaining. The cross is always going to follow the curvature of the face, and it's never going to be like, always this, depending on the direction. Here, let's take a look at this here. I'm going to draw a quick example. It's a page underneath. So what he's talking about here, alright, I'm not even going to draw the egg. I'm just going to do the cross. And he's got the vertical line pretty much going down through here. Okay? So what's going to follow that? Well, the nose is going to be, the end of the bottom of the nose is going to be somewhere under here. Alright? And the mouth, the upper lip, it's only about a quarter of the length from the top of the nose to the bottom of it. And underneath that, we'll give him a little bottom lip. And we're going to have that chin. And since we're looking down from below this angle, I'll do it his style, where it's just kind of sharp-edged. It's kind of Eric Larson-esque. Okay, so you can see the face and how it's following the curvature of this brow line. Now the back of the head and everything, you'll have to kind of, this is a lot more like, almost like a full circle, you know, from there to there. That's the back of the head. But you notice here, this is the brow line, so the eyebrows are going to be, you know, somewhere up here. Here, in actuality, he's not even drawing the other eyebrow, because the nose, so again, keeping it loose, I darken a little bit right there, he's kind of doing this, where it's such at that angle that we're getting a whole bunch of that nose. Right? And this cheek is kind of covering a lot of that eye. So we're getting a very low angle. An up the nose kind of a shot here. Okay, so right here. And left room for the lip. And there's the lower lip. And there's the chin. Okay. And here's the cheekbones. They're all following this curvature, that direction. You know, because of where the angle is, and where this person is looking. You know, and just keep looking back to that as reference. There's no shame in kind of copying there, because, you know, the more you copy, the more you can be like, oh, it's like when I copied that page in that book. That's the angle here. But I already kind of screwed up, because look at that ear. You know, the ear, he's got it more flat. Not like that would necessarily be wrong, depending on the angle, but I'm going to try to follow, just because I don't want to complicate things for the sake of this. I want to follow his drawing more exact. See how he breaks it up into shapes? Like this is like a hard, coiled ear lobe. We'll just copy for now, but we'll go over earlobes. Ooh, there's a thunderstorm. And thunder rolled. And I was going to go to the library. In the gym. Perfect time to make YouTube videos. And see how this neck here, it's like parts of a car or something. Goes down. And you can shade all that in. So yeah, I mean, you got something there. This seems a little extreme how the ear is just really, I mean, you can bring up a little bit more, so it's, or bring this head up more. But again, I'm keeping it loose and sketchy, with the exception of that back there. Less pressure on the pencil, the better. And it's only practice. So yeah, we'll go into the eye. Again, we're kind of just summarizing some of these things and kind of like doing this on a surface kind of level. Take a look at this here, so we'll get ready for the next video here. And look at how I did this eye here. It's like an opening of a hatch. You know, almost looks sci-fi because of the sharp angles, you know, but just drawing this, drawing this, you'll get a better understanding of how to draw eyes and where they set into the face. You know, the reading is kind of like, okay, the icing on the cake, but I'm a visual learner. I want to kind of, you know, copy that and memorize that facial pattern. Then I'll go to the reading and be like, okay, see what I can take from it that makes sense. 5 details of the face, the features, major muscle masses. The eyeball is almost as large as a golf ball in the human head. Is an exposed internal organ. I'll zoom in a little bit. Of the body, protected by the great structures of bone. The brow ridge, ciliary arch, and the cheekbone, zygomatic bone. It is suspended from the roof of the eye socket, orbit. The eyelids curve like short visors in the eye, like what I was showing you down there. The upper curves wider across the fuller circumference of the orb, while the lower turns to a shorter arc around the base area. Seen from the side view, the lower lid lies angled down almost 45 degrees from the upper lid. Surrounding the eye is the orbicularis muscle. Enclosing and encircling the orbit, it gives a little shape, however, to the surface form of the socket and cheekbone. So let's go back down here. I think that's what he was talking about right here. The lower lid lies angled down almost 45 degrees from the circling orbit. 45-degree angle. So we'll leave it off right there, because I still want to keep these videos manageable. And we'll start working on the eye. There's so much material. So much. I mean, you can just keep going back to this. Keep going back to it for inspiration and for practice. And again, part of this is practice for me as well. And, you know, you could draw some butts. And just the muscles and how they kind of connect to each other and how they relate. Again, more butts. You know, the back muscle, basic patterns in the back muscle. This is like an M. It's just all great stuff. You know, it's good. As always, it's always good to do, you know, human anatomy. If you can get somebody, go to a human anatomy class in person, that's cool. That's probably the best one to do, best way to do it. But this ain't bad either. I mean, look at all that. These little back muscles. This is great for superhero comics and just drawing in general. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. We'll go into the eye a little bit more. Keep drawing, even if it's only 10 seconds a day.